to episode 9 of Geeking Out with the Foos, presented by FooBarShow.com, where we talk everything geek, including movies, TVs, comic book news, and video games. I am Joe C. Foon, it up with
Steph.
Remember to like and follow us on our socials and rate and review on all podcasting platforms. Steph,
What's up?
what's happening?
What's crackling? I am having a hard time breathing right now.
What the fuck?
The air is just toxic.
Los Angeles has been on fire for the last couple weeks.
So I apologize for being very nasally. I just can't breathe.
That's all right. You'll be fine. One thing that I wanted to geek about today, Steph, and we'll geek about quite a few things. Does it bug you that everything that we love comes out on Sundays and only Sundays?
Everything comes out on Sundays.
Jesus Christ. Even Rick and Morty, which we just saw, but we'll get to that in a second.
How many shows is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah?
At least
Something like
5. At least 5 shows.
Right, with like Walking Dead and such. But I wanted to talk about Kevin and Bean. Geek out about that for a quick second.
Oh.
Bean just retired. At least he didn't retire from his career.
R.I.P. Bean.
Yeah, he left the Kevin and Bean show in good terms. You know, for those who don't listen, it's one of the best morning shows you can ever hope for. At least, you know, for like a morning commute. Funny guys. I've been listening to them for freaking ever. Bean has been on the air, was on the air for 30 years, coming up on KROQ. He was on the radio for a lot longer than that prior to that, but the Kevin and Bean duo, it has come to an end. That's it. That's all she wrote.
Yeah, for many SoCal listeners, we've been listening for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see him go. It's the end of an era.
Definitely the end of an era.
I mean, we can't just keep him here for our selfish reasons.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we could. We just didn't
You
try.
must stay.
We could have tied him up. Could have drugged him. It's like nobody tried. It's like nobody fucking tried. And I think that's the lesson that we need to learn from all this.
You're not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere. Bean, is it?
We'll find you.
Yep.
And you will podcast.
And we'll give you a microphone no matter where you are. Well, that's kind of how he treated life. I mean, he left Los Angeles. He was a broadcaster for the Kevin and Bean show on KROQ, but he would do it first from his home in Seattle, Washington, for many years. And then he went off to Louisiana, and he was doing the show from there. You know, pretty much like, not literally phoning it in, but he was hooked up somehow to their board, and he was being potted in. I mean, the audio quality was awesome that came out of that, so I don't know how they did it. And now he's moving to England, so he's gone, and it's like we said, the end of an era. If anybody wants to check them out, I would say the last episode with him on this last Thursday was freaking gold. It was probably one of the best episodes they've ever had. Because it was star-studded. They brought out everybody, pretty much almost everybody who was on the show. They brought out Doc on the Rock, Poor Man, which is the reason why Bean left Los Angeles to begin with, because Poor Man got 500 people to go to his front lawn and start harassing him and his wife in the middle of the night.
They had some of the fans had gone into, I think, his electrical panel and turned off his lights.
Yeah.
So he was without power.
How scary do you think that was? That's
right?
that's like scary movie status.
Like, what the fuck?
Shit right there. Of course, Adam Carolla, Jimmy Kimmel, Matt Money Smith called in, Ralph Garman. Ralph called in. That made me feel so happy when I heard Ralph call in. And you know, there was some bad blood, I guess, when Ralph was let go from KROQ. It was they didn't renew his contract, but they waited until the last possible second to tell him, and he was not permitted to talk about it on the air until his last day, and where he said goodbye to everybody, which was a complete shock to everybody. Now he's been doing all right with his Ralph Report. That's another podcast that you can all get on online. You can go to Patreon, and it's not that expensive. Just a couple bucks, you get some Ralph Garman to listen to. He's also been on Kevin Smith's podcast, Hollywood Babylon. So he's doing okay. As you know, he also worked for Seth MacFarlane, Family Guy. So, but I sure as hell miss him on KROQ, on Kevin and Bean.
He was hilarious all his voiceovers.
Yeah,
voice
he was on that show for close to like 17, 18 years.
Yeah.
A long time. And that's about the time I started listening. I started listening just before Ralph joined. Adam Carolla was still a regular. I heard him do Mr. Burcham on the air. Jimmy was Jimmy the sports guy. When Jimmy retired that position, and he went to late night like some kind of sucker. I mean, what happened with that, right?
I know, right? Never heard of him again.
Never heard from him again. Absolutely not. No, he's just the fucking king of late night right now. So, and all the other sports guys that came, the only one other sports guy that was a little short-lived, I forget his name, Dean Sheffrin, I believe his name was. He was the sports guy that came on right after Matt Money Smith left. And Matt Money Smith, got the job with the Lakers, pretty much being a journalist for them. Now he does the PMS show with Petros and Money. And they're all very successful, man. The only other person who didn't call in was Lisa May. She's already on the radio. She's on KLOS.
She is. Currently. She does the news, traffic, and weather.
For Frosty, Heidi, and Frank.
Yes.
Yeah. So she's okay. She's doing fine.
Classic Lisa May.
Yeah. She's definitely hit a niche in her career. And God damn it, God bless her.
Oh, the guy that does the Santa Monica?
Oh, yeah.
This
guy who just out of nowhere, they're a morning show, so they do like call-in topics. And, they expect the person to be screened properly. They expect somebody to have something relevant to talk to. No, this guy, all he did was get through the phone screeners so that he can yell into the mic, "This is Santa Monica!" Like super loud. He's been doing it for how many years? He actually
at least 20 years.
At least 20 years. He's been that guy. He briefly moved, I think, away to like Texas for like a few months and then returned.
That.
He even called in to say, "Hey, I'm the Santa Monica guy." Like he was interviewed as the Santa Monica guy. Why we weren't going to hear from him anymore, but he was still going to be a podcast listener. Blah 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 blah. And out of nowhere, he calls in like out of the blue. He's like, "Yeah, I'm back."
See, this is how much the Kevin and Bean Show has impacted our lives with all of these recurring cast members.
Yeah, and inside jokes.
It makes our day.
It does. It makes it go by a little easier. And man, like I don't take the time to listen to it live like I should, and I totally could too. Now that now that my drive time is way earlier in the morning, I can hear it in the when it starts every morning. But I choose to do the podcast because it kind of just eliminates the commercials. And I'm never gonna win anything. When they do those contests, I'm not going to be...
I love hearing the contests, though. All the competitors.
They get pretty silly. But Bean was the rock of that show. And I'm curious to see where this show is going to go after he leaves. Now he's gone, obviously. So now they don't have a choice. I understand that they're going to keep the Kevin and Bean Show, the name, until the rest of the year. And then I don't know what it's going to be called after that. Who knows? I mean, it's just Kevin now. Kevin and the gang. I don't know. Maybe that's what they're going to call it. Who knows? It's going to be interesting. Allie McKay, she comes out of a morning show KTLA from back in the day. Jensen Karp, he used to call into, I believe, I don't think it was Power 106. It might have been. But he used to do a lot of rap battles back in his day. So he's like the in-house hip-hop correspondent.
Doesn't he write for that rap battle show?
Yeah, he created that rap battle show currently, but I'm saying like he used to rap battle, like that's how he came up. That's how he became known. It was like it probably wasn't Big Boy, I could be wrong, but Power 106 had this thing back in the day, or a different radio station, I'm not sure, where they would encourage the listeners to call in and pretty much rap battle each other and essentially roast each other while rhyming, to a beat. And Jensen apparently got some notoriety because he just went undefeated so many times. I mean, the guy has some wit and he has some good rapping talent, so I'm not surprised. He's married to Topanga, Danielle Fisher, and he gets he's Mr. Hollywood these days. I mean, he has that rap battle that he created. Regardless, he is now a part of the Kevin and Bean Show. Asterisk. I don't know what it's going to be called when the new year begins, but
who knows?
They have a good team there that I think the funny will continue. But Bean was a force in that show. He really kind of, I wouldn't say that he was the creative in that show, but he definitely knew how to think on his feet. He was arguably the funnier of the two, Kevin and Bean, in my opinion.
Well, it's because Kevin couldn't get the jokes out.
Yeah, Kevin, he gets tongue twisted, and he admittedly in the last show on last Thursday says, I don't know, maybe he feels like he's a fraud or an imposter. He's like, Bean's the better of the both of us. I feel like this entire career I was being dragged along, and Bean was always that person that I can count on that can carry this show. And now with Bean gone, I hope that Kevin doesn't continue this imposter syndrome where he thinks that he's not good enough, because he's a good broadcaster, man. I think Kevin's he's just a good personality on the radio. I mean, he's not the best talker. Ironically, a radio host should be, but I think he has that personality that is very forgiving of that anyway. So, lovable guy. I will look forward to what comes after Bean's departure and what kind of other stuff they're going to come up with. And maybe if there's going to be somebody taking Bean's place. Who knows?
You can never replace Bean.
You can't, but they're probably going to try. I wouldn't be surprised if they got somebody to get in there to see it, to try to mix it up. Who knows? Who knows? It's going to be really interesting to find out what happens to the next evolution of morning show KROQ. Because we've had it only one way for so long. It's going to be tough to try to readjust. But who knows? We'll march on. Everybody download that last episode. It was on. It was last Thursday. It was Bean's last episode. They pulled out all the stops. It was one for the books for sure. It kind of reminiscent of Johnny Carson's last show, where he pretty much brought out all his Hollywood friends, and they just threw a show for him. And this wasn't like a show, but it was just a lot of people calling in from way back. You're digging back 30 years of characters and people and personalities that went through that show. And I would say a solid amount of them called in, even the ones that they didn't think they were ever going to hear from again. Like Big Tad called in.
Oh yeah,
the guy's he's in a hospital somewhere on a hospital bed. That's just health issues that got to him because he just never took care of his health. But he just he called in amongst others. So Lightning, one of the producers that pretty much got him on the map. One of the hardest working producers they've ever had. It was fun to listen to. It really took me back because I've been listening to them for damn near close to like 25 years. I'd say they were on the air for 30. I think they had a solid 20 funny years. Yeah, it was. I don't know. It's just going to be. I'm glad that it's recorded. I'm glad that there's podcasts that I can hearken back to and listen to whenever I feel like it. It's a good time to be alive in that regard. So, yeah.
The B team actually had an interview with Bean before that final show, and they actually asked some pretty interesting questions that they don't cover in Bean's last episode of Kevin and Bean.
Yeah,
some more in-depth, kind of behind the scenes, where he came from radio, where he got started, questions that we didn't think to ask.
Yeah. Everybody download the B Team's podcast too. We've been mentioned on their show. Omar, he was the DJ at my wedding. We don't have strong ties with KROQ, but the ones we do are pretty fun. So yeah, moving on. Like we just said, we just saw the new Rick and Morty, episode 1, season 4. Steph, what do you think?
Oh man, I love Rick and Morty.
It's pretty fucking classic,
never
right?
Disappoint.
Pretty fucking classic. The way I like how they tie in every first episode of every season, how they kind of break the fourth wall and say how they're going to kick ass that season and celebrate. It was last season. It was the Szechuan sauce.
Szechuan sauce,
right? That's what got everybody excited for the Szechuan sauce.
This is going to be our darkest season, Morty. It's going to be our darkest season. I need my Szechuan sauce.
The frenzy that created at every McDonald's who dared to participate in that Szechuan sauce release for like a couple of hours, because they ran out really fast.
We weren't going to make it, a lot of it.
Yeah, and that was their mistake. I think they underestimated the power of Rick and Morty and the influence that they had on society.
Well,
and people going nuts in their freaking lobbies because they wanted some Szechuan sauce. It's equivalent to today's chicken sandwich at Popeyes. All the fights breaking out.
Say sandwich one more time.
And all the calamity sandwich. Sandwich.
It's a chicken sandwich. What the fuck?
Yeah. Anyway, Rick and Morty was great. Do you think they're going to address the Citadel coming in the next coming episodes here?
Oh yeah,
because that's becoming a huge storyline that I think that cliffhanger really got a lot of people excited to see how they're going to take this, because the fan theories say that is supposed to be Rick's original Morty. Yeah, and we never meet him up until this point, right?
I wouldn't be surprised if they never addressed it.
That's true. They totally would do something like that. Yeah. But I think they would also steal that fan theory and run with it as fast as they could, because that is a solid fan theory.
Also, that's lazy writing because the fans have already written it.
Yeah. But that's on brand for Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
That's totally on brand for them. But
classic.
Yeah. So another one that we watched on Sunday night was Watchmen. I like where they're going with this. They never give us all the information up front, and for somebody who appreciates Watchmen and has the patience to kind of see where this is going, I think we'll have a pretty solid payoff. They've already hinted at Dr. Manhattan being up in Mars, looking down on us, and maybe causing some fuckery from time to time. They address the squid that gets dropped on the city of New York at the end of the Watchmen comic book.
Yeah, that's coming from another dimension, and so everybody's anticipating the big drop. Mm-hmm. Because right now, they get waves of little squid.
Yeah.
But
like it starts raining baby squid all over the place.
The sirens go off. Mm-hmm. People have to pull off to the side of the road, and then squid just start falling from the sky.
It's gross. It's really gross.
And I guess they're just waiting for the big one.
Yeah, because who created the first one? Ozymandias, right? He's the one that made it happen. And he did that almost like an anti-hero would, which is exactly what he is. He's an anti-hero. He's looking out for the big picture of humanity, and he doesn't care about sacrificing a small portion of humanity to accomplish it. But, his whole deal was like, if I introduce this giant squid who threatens to destroy the city of New York, perhaps the rest of the world will come together to try to destroy this thing. And, they'll get their differences set apart, and, it'll create world peace to a certain extent. The Watchmen series suggests that wasn't the end result. Despite, and we kind of got the hint of that when Rorschach tried to pee on his fire. Dr. Manhattan kind of saw it that way too. So it didn't really go down the way that Ozymandias wanted it to go down.
Yeah, well, now we're following Ozymandias in a prison. He's under a dome of some type. Yeah, that's at least what we've gathered so far, because he is able to create a bunch of female and male clones, and sometimes he kills them because he's pissed. Sometimes he kills them because of experiments that he runs, but apparently he grabs fetuses from the lake that he canoes off of, throws those fetuses in a machine, like an oversized or human-sized microwave. They become adult size, and then he has them do his bidding. They're like butlers and maids and experiments that he kind of throws into space, and then when he actually catapults them up into space, and then they disappear at a certain point, which makes me believe that he's under a dome. Right, and he's trying to calculate how far away that barrier is.
Yeah.
Because he's catapulting them, then the time it takes for them to disappear, blah, blah, blah. We get math.
Yeah.
Right? Science. But the way that it's written is, we're on episode 4?
That sounds about right.
And so you see bits and pieces of every single part of the story, and you don't know what's going on. But the more you watch, the more you're able to piece it together. Like you said, every episode is kind of like, well, I get where they're going. I don't know where they're going. Yeah. So let's just see what happens. But you get sucked into it every episode.
And how great is Regina King?
Oh man, she's amazing. She's a badass.
She's pretty freaking good. As an overall actress, I mean, she is really, my understanding is she's a big nerd too. She likes to read comic books, always has. I mean, she's a voice in the Boondocks. She's one of the kids in Boondocks. She's Riley. So not only that, she has a good sense of humor. She's just a good actor, like all together from every single angle you could think of. And on top of that, she's a badass. Like, her character is a police officer that encompasses the spirit of a Watchman. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Because they're not Watchmen, but the police have to cover their faces because they then get hunted.
Yeah, in their city,
mm-hmm.
in their particular city, they're piloting the masked police officer to protect them because the senators, trying to do something and wants to pilot this program across the country. Mm-hmm. So they're testing it out right now. And so far, it's kind of working.
Well, the person who decided in the police force who decided not to wear a mask was murdered. He was hanged.
Right.
Yeah.
But it wasn't by like some no-name random character that doesn't like cops. Mm-hmm. He was murdered for a greater purpose.
Yeah, he was actually in the KKK. Right? They found that robe in his closet.
Well, we don't know exactly
it might have been
whose that was.
Oh.
So, see, that's like all the twists and turns.
Right.
We don't know that yet.
Interesting. I didn't think of it that way.
But there's more developing the more we watch.
Yeah. For those who haven't seen the Watchmen movie, it's really a good precursor to what this show, this series is about. I don't think that anybody who hasn't seen the movie will have the same enthusiasm that we do. So I suggest everybody watch that movie. It might be a bit long, but bust out the popcorn, make an evening out of it. You'll enjoy the shit out of it, especially if you like blue schlong. And I saw them at Coachella once too.
Lots of blue schlong.
Lots of blue schlong.
Schlong.
A lot of Dr. Manhattan blue glowy schlongness. And either way, the writing in that comic book itself, and they do change the ending in the movie, I guess for cinematic purposes. They don't want to just create this giant squid. Maybe it wouldn't have gone well with the... I was comfortable with the way they went in the movie.
In the movie?
Yeah.
No, I was...
You're furious? I was okay with it. I mean, because I saw some interviews with the directors and the producers, and they're just like, I think cinematically, this is probably the most practical way to go about it. Not doing the whole squid thing, but destroying the world.
The squid.
No, I get it. I know if they could have pulled that off, I would have been happy with it. I was okay with the alternative, but as far as the series goes, you need to kind of be more familiar with how the comic book did it. Or at least have a good idea. Because of the squid.
No, I don't think so. Because the series does a great job at explaining.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they give it to you bits and pieces at a time. So you got to just stick with it.
Yeah, but like I said when we started talking about this a few minutes ago, you kind of have to have the patience. And you have to pay attention. And I don't know too many people, at least not in my circle of friends, who have that kind of patience and are willing to pay attention to the show in that way and try to gather those bits and pieces. I think that it'll definitely help if you watch the movie.
No, because the show it's essentially a detective story with vigilante happenings all around the police force.
Yeah.
So if you like the detective story, you're going to stick with it.
Yeah. I don't give people that much credit. I don't know. I don't. I don't give people that much credit.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm just saying. What else did we watch?
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. I like what's happening with Negan and the Whispers. Him kneeling, and do you think he means it?
No,
when he kneels to Alpha?
Like I said before,
he just survives, right?
Negan only does Negan.
For Negan.
For Negan. By Negan.
Yeah, so Negan, for those who missed it or those who want to join in on the conversation, he pretends to join the Whispers. At least on the outside, he's joining the Whispers. He's doing everything he can so that he can be accepted, and he's slowly getting accepted. Beta threw him to the ground when he said that maybe he should get a little piece of the pig that he helped make the hole in the ground for. kill, prepare, cook. When he's just like, I think I should get a little piece of bacon, and then Beta throws him off to the side. But when he sits on the log, one of the Whisperers gives him a piece of the bacon that Beta sees, and he's getting jealous because he's just like, God damn, this motherfucker won't die. Like, Negan won't die. He puts him in predicaments and situations where he will fail, and he comes out of it alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Negan comes up every time, and
it's almost comical.
And Negan already knows that Alpha is watching him.
Yeah.
Alpha is watching Beta interact with Negan, and Negan is playing on that.
Yeah.
Trying to take down Beta emotionally.
Yeah. He's doing the psychological fuckery.
That's what he does.
And it's working. And, do you think all along that Negan, and you've probably read the comic book, so you probably know the answer to this, but humor me. Do you think that all along he is going to be on the Alexandrians' side and dismantle the Whisperers from inside out?
Negan, I will say this. Negan already said that he was coming for Alpha. He said that to Beta. So, there's your answer.
Okay. All right.
But Negan only does Negan.
That's right.
So, he's probably not going to do anything for Alexandria.
That's true. Well, I don't know. But they jailed him for how long? 7 years?
They jailed him for that long. But I think he got used to it. So he probably wants to take out the Whisperers so that he can go back to what he's used to.
Yeah, that's true. He was comfortable there.
He was.
He was in a jail cell, but they were letting him out. Like, he was interacting with the crowd in Alexandria. He was an outcast. Everybody was shunning him, at all times. He's essentially excommunicated while still, being fed by them and everything like that. But you know what? Now that I think about it,
he probably can't go back because of the death that occurred right before he left. It was like an accidental death when he was trying to save Lydia.
Right. Alpha's daughter.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I forgot all about that. I forgot that happened.
So Negan's on his own.
Yeah.
At this point.
I guess so. He doesn't mean he has to go to Alexandria. There's Hilltop. There's other places that know who he is and might be welcome if he can show that he somehow defeated or weakened the Whisperers. I think that might be his ticket into these other places. Who knows? I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with that. I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan's reactions to everything. He's such a great actor, and the fact that we're watching Watchmen too, and he was the comedian in Watchmen.
Oh yeah,
that. He's a force, just like Bean is the force in Kevin and Bean. Negan, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, is the force that really drives that show these days. I mean, we lost Rick. Maggie's gone to who knows where. The King's about to have an emotional breakdown. Daryl, I don't know what's going on with Daryl. I guess he has feelings now. And Carol doesn't want to talk to anybody. The only one worth really caring a shit about is that big nerd with the mullet, Eugene. I can listen to that guy talk forever. That character and the way he structures the sentences and uses all the synonyms that you could be using alternatively to everyday speak. This guy is pretty much on point with it,
right? He's saying such complex sentences, speaking such complex sentences
that makes sense to everybody still. It's a fine art. I think it's a really fine art.
Right? Let's just take, for example, it's like, there's a woman bringing a box of stuff to him. Mm-hmm. And instead of saying, he set it down over there, he says, you can deposit the items in the location of your choosing.
Yeah.
Some shit like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very...
I understand exactly what you're saying.
If Shakespeare was American, I think that's how he would write. A present-day Shakespeare born in America. That's how he would write.
The thing about his speech is that his sentences are so long, he has to speak quickly. Mm-hmm. So if you're not paying attention, you're not going to know what he's saying.
He's one of those guys. I'm one of those guys that thinks faster than his mouth can speak.
Yes.
So I get stuck sometimes, a lot of the time. His mouth keeps up with that shit. he's able to spit it all out all at once, and my God, he's an awesome character. Negan is an awesome character. I don't want that show to die, but every year they come out with the ratings, and they're never better than the previous. So I'm wondering to see how much longer this show's going to last. They need to do something big. They need to do something big to get everybody's attention, because I don't want it to go away, just like I didn't want Kevin and Bean to go away.
Well, how long has it been? It's been 10 seasons? 10 seasons?
It's been quite a few, yeah.
So that's actually an accomplishment for shows.
Yeah, and they've gotten snubbed for all the awards, all the Emmys. They haven't gotten one, which is very disappointing. All the years, I mean, they were, in their early days, they were up against other greats like Mad Men and, Breaking Bad was on. I mean, the golden age of TV, we're in the middle of it. I mean, these last 10 years have been amazing, and now with Disney Plus infiltrating the spectrum of what is TV, it's going to be another interesting pivot to this thing that we call TV and entertainment. So, what a time to be alive! I don't want this to end, but one day it will. It's gonna suck, but as Bean would say, I'm already pre-sad.
Oh,
that it's gonna end.
Get your tears out now.
I know. What else do you want to talk about, Steph?
Shit, Man in the High Castle's coming out.
Oh man, that's another show. We're running out of time. There's too much show.
I know. We still need to finish.
And you still need to watch the last couple episodes of Mr. Robot.
I know. For some reason, episode 5 wasn't on demand, so episode 6 was last night. Yeah. So I'm behind. I'm like, fuck.
Man.
Too many shows.
Yeah.
All good, but too many.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to do it for a Geeking Out. I want to just give everybody a heads up. Josh and the Foo are gone. While they're gone, I'm not about to pretend like I know about sports.
Where's the sports?
So if there's no sports on a Monday, it's because Josh and the Foo are a little too busy to put one together. No fault of theirs. Of course, they're busy guys. Josh is doing his thing. The Foo's doing his. But Steph is a nice companion, and she's very worthy to take a microphone.
Yes. Thank you, a master.
With your Steph Kwando. We miss those guys, and we can't wait till they have enough time to come back and put together some sports, some Geeking Out, and the rest. So they'll be coming in and out. When they can, they will. For the next episode,
we went to the Los Angeles Coffee Festival.
Yeah, we went to the Los Angeles Coffee Festival. It was at the Music Box. It's this big building that does like art gallery conventions that has a giant chair in the middle of the parking lot. Just a giant wooden chair.
Yeah, for no reason.
No, absolutely no reason.
It's art. You don't understand.
I guess.
It's taken up 4 parking spots.
Yeah,
that giant chair.
Yeah, that's true.
Ugh.
But we've been there before for another convention, which was pretty much all geek. It was like a geek convention, right? It wasn't anything. It wasn't one thing.
It was a couple of years ago. It was more like just a random comic book convention. It felt like a Frankenstein's type of deal. Mm-hmm. My cousin Kiki was there selling her comic books. Yeah. Floppy ears. Mm-hmm. Check out her comic book, Floppy ears.
Yeah, man. Yeah, good stuff. So we went to the coffee convention. It was fun. We'll have a clip or two of our happenings there. And then tomorrow, we're also going to tackle the greatest theme songs of all time. Lightning round. Every single league in the brackets. We just want to get it over with. Round 1 will be finished by the end of tomorrow. It's going to be amazing. We'll probably separate it into a 2-parter because it's going to get long. In lieu of the sports, we'll toss that in. We'll make it a 2-parter because it'll be long.
I think it sounds great. Lightning round. Let's get round 1 over with.
And let's get some fan participation going.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait for that to happen. All right. Well, thanks for listening in to Geeking Out with the Foos. Remember to like and follow at FooBar Show on our socials and rate and review on all podcasting platforms. I'm Josie Fooing it up with
Steph.
Don't be a dick.